Shalom. All praise, honor, and glory and fear to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Ba'ashem Arakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. And peace and salutations to the hopeful elect that's striving for salvation in these electrifying times. I want to go into this quick article. It's from RT News, Russia Today. It's dated August 13th, 2019, which is today, Tuesday. And it's entitled U.S. Ban on Government Contracts with Huawei and Other Chinese Tech Firms comes into force. Now, this has been going on for a moment, for a minute now. America or U.S. has been claiming to enforce these bans on certain Chinese corporations from doing business within the U.S. They've been trying to sit down and negotiate. I believe my last video I went into, they were sitting down. The U.S. and China was trying to negotiate, and they were having dinner and all that. So they're gonna do these negotiations, but they're all gonna come to fail. They're not gonna prosper, because the Most High is playing on the minds on both sides to not come into agreements. Even if they do ink a deal in place to agree, we all know the so-called white man's MO and his history is to break his agreements that he has. If he makes a treaty or agreement or contract, he will violate that and breach that contract. But yet, if you have a contract with him, he holds you to the fullest letter of the extent of the law. If you break a contract with him, that's the devil for you. But I'm going to read just a little bit of this. I'm not going to read the whole article, but I just want to read it. The first paragraph, or the first couple of paragraphs. It says, the ban on federal purchases of equipment and services from 5 Chinese companies, included tech giant Huawei and ZTE, took effect on Tuesday morning in the United States. The interim rule, entitled Federal Acquisition Regulation, prohibition on contracting for certain telecommunications and video surveillance services or equipment, was published on the U.S. Federal Register's website. Now, U.S. is claiming that they're attacking these telecommunications companies because they're stating that they believe that these telecommunications companies, I'm tongue-tied this morning, but these telecommunication companies are spying on the United States for Russia. Now, it's funny how the so-called white man will try to call out your violations with Intel, but yet he passed laws for him to do it all day long. He does it. He does it on his own people, like on his own citizens, with the Patriot Act 1 and 2, and other executive orders that allow them to spy legally, for them to be able to spy legally on United States citizens and foreign citizens. And he allows himself to do that, but he wants to persecute hackers. Wait a minute, aren't you a hacker? That's what you're doing. But you're making it legal for yourself to do that. You're hacking into people's lives through their telecommunication services, whether it be home phones or cell phones or business phones. You're hacking into their social medias, and you're getting all the intel you want to build up a file on each individual person. But yeah, you don't want this done to you. It's crazy. What it says, from now on, U.S. state agencies, namely the Defense Department, General Service Administration, and NASA, are prohibited from buying products or services, as well as extending on reviewing contracts with certain Chinese tech companies unless granted a waiver. Now, why would you be granting a waiver? Shouldn't you not allow any of them have any access to the United States business? Why do you grant certain waivers? You grant certain waivers so that the United States government can take advantage of those waivers. They're only going to grant waivers that's going to benefit them. It's crazy. Matter of fact, I'm gonna get a quick scripture because it's the devil, man. He's the so-called white man is the devil, man, which means deceiver, and he'll do anything to deceive the public, man. It's Isaiah 10:1. It says, "Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, that write grievousness which they have prescribed." And that's what this devil did, man. He wrote a let me go back to the article. He making it so that the certain tech companies or certain telecommunication services provided by the Chinese, whether it's a cell phone or whether it's even tech parts, that you can't do any business with the U.S. unless you have a waiver. That's an unrighteous decree. You're decreeing that. You're putting that decree out there that no one else can use it, but unless we give you a waiver, and we're only going to give waivers to those who we feel fit, which is going to be us, which is going to be the U.S. government. In devils. But the point of this lesson is, if you want to read the article, just go to RT. It's posted. Today's the 13th of August 13th, Tuesday. You can find the article on RT News. But the reason why I want to go into this video is because these other nations ain't gonna get off the hook. So you having this spat with the so-called white man, but you joined the so-called white man. You and all the other nations, you've been drunken off the wine and the philosophies and all the doctrines that they've been feeding you throughout generations, and you sat down at the table and you drank with them. And now that you're drunk and you can't, and you stumbling, when you become sober, you realize you put together yourself a bad situation by getting in bed with the so-called white man. Because what happens on a physical basis? Somebody gets to drinking, right? And once they get drinking, they get intoxicated. They may not be thinking on a clearer level, but they're thinking on a fleshly level. And you lay down in bed. You sleep with somebody, and people, it's a cliche of people waking up in the next morning in bed with somebody that they wouldn't have slept with in other circumstances if they had been sober. So that's what you've done. And what you've done is you've helped the so-called white man put hell on the Israelites, primarily the Most High's elect. So you're an accomplice. So I pulled up this definition for dictionary.com. It's a definition for accomplice: a person who knowingly helps another in a crime or wrongdoing as often as a subordinate, which means you're supporting what you see someone's doing wrong to another person. You're accomplice. If you didn't even stop it and you're there, you can be held as an accomplice for that. But y'all put y'all hands to it. You've benefited off of it. You go through the neighborhoods, throughout the urban areas, throughout the U.S. or even other countries, and you see the Israelites that are in these ghettos, that are in these hoods, that are in these project housing, that's in these subsidized housing, that's in these low-income housing. And all you see in those neighborhoods are businesses by the other nations that are making profit off the Israelites' hard-earned low-income money. And you're being made fat with that. You're benefiting off that. You made an agreement with the so-called white man. This is Psalms 83:1. It says, keep not thou silent, O power. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O power. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. So these other nations, you made a tumult, you made a uproar about what's going on with the Israelites, because you know who God's chosen people are. Everybody knows who the Israelites are, but the Israelites. Everybody knows who's the Most High's chosen is, but His chosen. But the elect, the hopeful elect, they know who they are. We the Most High open our minds and our spirit to accept the fact of what the truth is, because there are Israelites out there that hear the truth and they don't accept it. But the hopeful elect not only accept it, the Most High allows them to thrive in this truth, meaning to make it day by day and not live worldly like the so-called white man puts his influence on our people to live for the future. That YOLO spirit, party all the time, laugh and in the house of mirth, just celebrating wicked holidays and just living it up as best you can, that whole wicked spirit is going to come back to bite all you Israelites that's living that way. The scriptures say, she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth, roughly paraphrasing. And that extends on, and that extends on to the she representing the daughter of Israel, which is the whole nation of Israel. And then it's twofold, because the daughters, the females of our nation, that's all they're about. They're about living and in pleasure, living it up and having fun. They want the American dream to the max, and that's what they live for. But the Most High put the spirit on a few. I say a few, a little small amount, because the elect in the 1/3 is a small amount, and a small part of that small amount will be some women that will join unto a man of the Lord, and that's the best thing that she can ever have done. All praise to the Most High for the women that takes that spirit on, that he's granted that spirit to say, I'm gonna join unto this man, I'm gonna subtract myself from the world, I'm gonna add myself unto this man, and I'm gonna help this man, and I'm gonna do what I can in the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. Those women will be spared. Those women will be protected, guarded, and shielded as their children, and so as the man that they're joined unto will be saved, will be protected and eventually saved as the elect. Back in verse 3, it says, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have, and the hidden ones is the elect. I mean, is the nation of Israel, and primarily the elect, because that's who the hell is coming upon. The hell is, because the elect is going through that fire right now, that spiritual fire that's purifying you to make you hard and strong and refined and polished. So when the trouble come, the time of Jacob's trouble, they're not fazed by that. But those who ain't go through that spiritual fire, you're going to catch that physical fire, which you're going to catch that physical hell of the time of Jacob's trouble, the day of the Lord's wrath, and then ultimately the missiles, which will burn, which was going to crisply burn the hell out of the 2/3. So I'm going to read that again. It says, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones, Israel. They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be in no more remembrance. Well, the scriptures tell you that the Most High has given us that remembrance, according to what's written in Jude. He's given us that remembrance, and we're starting to remember who we are, and we're starting to take upon our custom and our heritage, and living in truth. And the Most High has put that spirit on a certain amount of men, women, and children to abide within the truth. So that tumult, that cutting them off from being a nation, is not succeeded. All you did is put blinders over the blind. Verse 5 says, for they have consulted together with one consent, they have confederate against thee, the tabernacle of Edom, and the Ishmaelites of Moab and Hagarites. Now this is the point. There's more nations that you keep on reading down, and it gives you all these nations, but I want to highlight Moab, because in this article, Moab is being turned on Moab. So Moab is supposed to be a U.S. Confederate, but they're gonna become our ally, but they're gonna become an enemy. Why are you gonna become an enemy? Because it's prophesied that you're going to have to shoot missiles on America. You're going to partake in the destruction of the United States, so-called America, which is Babylon the Great in the scriptures, the destruction of this place. And then you're going to get destroyed. And then you're going to go through hell. For making this tumult, you're going to be paid back. Moab, all the other nations, all these nations that's written down here, you're all gonna, from Moab, to the Hamites, Edomites, all of them, they're gonna catch it. So we're gonna go into that now. So this is Habakkuk 2:5. It says, yea, also because he transgressed by wine, talking about the so-called white man, His wine is his philosophies, his doctrines, and all his lies, and everything that he has told to another nation or anyone to get them to get on his side. He is a proud man, neither keep it at home, who enlargeth his desires as hell, and as death, and is as death, because everything that the so-called white man touches dies, and cannot be satisfied, but gathered unto him all nations, and heap it unto him all people. Moab, you're part of that. The so-called Chinese, you're part of that. The Amorites, the Moabites, and on down to the rest of the nations, you're all partakers in that. You've drunken that wine, and you've been heaped unto the so-called white man. Verse 6, it says, shall not all these take up a parable against him? So all these nations, when they wake up in the morning, because we're coming into that hour of them waking up in the morning. So you didn't slept with the so-called white man, or you drank with him the night before, which is the night before, parabolically speaking, represents the past generations of you being at the dinner table with him, or you being negotiating with them. Then he gets to feeding you this wine, or drinking. You just to drinking this wine, which is all his philosophies, all his lies, all the things that he indoctrinates within you to get you to believe in him and to side with him. And then he lay you down in the bed and he's screwing the hell out of you. And then you wake up in the morning and you realize you would have never slept with him had you not drank that wine, right? So you're going to be what? Pissed off in the morning. So we coming into that. Verse 6, it says, shall not all these take up a parable against him? Which they will. And a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. And the so-called white man is laden with that thick clay, that debt. Abatya. You're laden with that debt. And part of that debt is trillions of dollars to the Chinese, the so-called Chinese, the Moabites. We owe as a nation, the United States. When I say we, I'm talking about this country that I'm abiding in, are in debt. And each individual citizen takes part of that debt. You go to the U.S. debt clock, it tells you how much each individual citizen is valued. So you're in debt to the so-called Chinese, but you're Chinese, so-called Chinese, you're gonna get yours. We're gonna get into that. This is Jeremiah 51:7. It says, Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. So the Most High was with Babylon. Most High was with helping the so-called white man sit down and pour this drink out to these other nations. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Why they're mad? Because they fell for the lies. They fell for the philosophies and all the different ideas that the so-called white man's put into your ear that was only for his benefit. You fell for that stuff. And so you're mad. You've been screwing with the white man all throughout the middle of the night in your drunken state, and you wake up in the morning and you realize that what? They didn't use the hell out you. Verse 8, it says, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her. Take balm for her pains. If so, she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go every one into his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies. Yeah, the so-called white man is all the atrocities that he's committed is reaching the Most High's doorstep. It's up in the heavens. The Most High sees it and hears it. He's mad at it, so that's why he's gonna bring the destruction upon this place as he's gonna bring. Because it's all because of the so-called white man. He is in charge and on the earth right now. He's in the power seat. So everything that goes wrong, he is directly responsible for. When you're in the power seat and you're in a rulership position, and anything goes wrong, it's based upon you not ruling rightly. If things go wrong, it's because things are happening bad and your kingdom goes down, it's because you weren't fit to rule. You ruled in a wicked way, and it's all your fault. So the Most High is going to set you up, and He's going to bring you down. And He's going to set up the nation of Israel, led by Yahushua, King David. The elect and the rest of the nation will rule from that point on. And the overseer of all that is the Most High. The Most High is the overseer of all that. So all this happens because it's the Most High's will, which is beautiful. Verse 10 says, the Lord had brought forth our righteousness. Come and let us declare in Zion the work of the Lord of our power. Make bright the arrows, gather the shields. The Lord had raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes, for his device is against Babylon to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of the Lord, the vengeance of his temple. Set up the standard upon the walls of Babylon. Make the watch strong. Set up the watchmen. Prepare the ambushes. The watchmen are set up. See, we got to be clear on this. See, the watchmen are out there right now. The true watchmen. The watchmen are out there, and they're blowing the trumpet. Every week you have brothers going out doing the work. It's all over the internet, so it can be reached all across the four corners. So the watchmen are letting it be known. If the people aren't taking heed, they're not taking heed. And it says the ambush is coming, and if you don't take heed, you're gonna fall to that ambush. Just for the Lord had both devised and done that which he spake against the inhabitants of Babylon. So now let's get to this last scripture dealing with the other nations. So it's Jeremiah 25:12. And it says, and it shall come to pass when 70 years are accomplished that I will punish the king of Babylon and that nation. Now when it says 70 years, seven represents completion, so it's a completed amount of time, because we don't have a sense, because the so-called white man have changed the times and seasons. We don't know exactly what year we're actually in, and the seasons are so messed up. You're having winter time seasons, the actual winter, the season of it, the weather is not, you're not getting winter weather during winter time. You might be getting spring weather, or you might be getting signs of fall weather. And summer weather is going to an extended amount of time into the next season. So we don't quite know exactly what season we're in. So we're talking about a completion of years. So I'm going to start it again. So, and it shall come to pass when 70 years, a completed amount of years, are accomplished, that I will punish the king of Babylon and that nation, saith the Lord, for the iniquity, and the land of the Chaldeans will make it perpetual desolation. I will bring upon that land all my words which I have pronounced against it, even all that is written in this book, which Jeremiah had prophesied against all the nations. So this is going against the nations. Says you're going to play your part in the downfall of this kingdom, this society, and this rulership ruled by the so-called white man, because you took part with him. You made an agreement with him to cut the nation of Israel off from being a nation, and you were part of dividing the nation of Israel. For many nations and great kings shall serve themselves of them also, and I will recompense them according to their deeds and according to their works of their own hands. So you're gonna get the punishment based off you being caught red-handed, for you being for the deeds and the things that you physically have done. And these so-called man, the so-called Chinese, the Moabites, man, they treat you jakes like shit in your own neighborhoods. They're the ones got the dollar Chinese spots. They're the Chinese food dollars. They're the ones got the donut spots. They got the nail salons. They got the beauty supply stores. They actually have, and I'm from Los Angeles, and they have the fish fry joints. When you go to get fish, we fry those fish shacks. They own them and run them. They running the soul food joints. they're in there in the back. Either whether they own it. It ain't Jake's owning these soul food spots. Is these so-called agents. They're the ones that own it. They may have a Jake working in there cooking the food. They may have a Jake. They might have a Jake serving you, but they own it. They're the ones profiting from it, and they treat y'all like shit. You know, that's the work of their hands. Verse 15. For thus said the Lord, power of Israel, unto me, take the wine cup of this fury at my hand, and cause all the nations to whom I will send thee to drink it. So when you drink, right? When people take a drink, they take shots, and then they get a drink to follow it up. So you've already had a drink. You had that drink that the so-called white man gave you. Now you're gonna get the chaser. The Most High is gonna bring you a cup, and that's the chaser, and you're gonna drink that too. But that's not gonna make you drunk. That's gonna totally knock you on your ass. You're done after this drink, because you're gonna be in slavery. That cup, the drink that the Most High is gonna give you, that wine is filled with this cup of slavery, 1,000 years worth of slavery. So when these other nations is treating Jake like shit, when it's the power of the black dollar, the power of the Latino dollar, that you have your businesses within their neighborhoods, that you're profiting off of them. When the scripture, when Yahushua went to the parable and speaking about the dogs that licked the wounds, that's talking about you other nations taking advantage of the Jakes. So you're gonna drink that cup of slavery, and that's gonna be the recompense, the payback of your hands. You're gonna go into slavery. Verse 16, and they shall drink and be moved and be mad because of the sword that I will send up among them. Then took I the cup at the Lord's hand, and made all the nations drink it, unto whom the Lord had sent it. And that cup is gonna apply to 18 other nations. Salakia, 17. There's 18 total nations. 17 nations is drinking that cup. The one nation, the nation of Israel, is gonna be in the rulership seat. So that's gonna bring this lesson to a close. I just want to go into this little article and bring out the fact that all the other to bring out the fact that this decision that the United States made to put this ban into force is gonna be part of the reasons why the so-called Chinese, which are the Moabites, is gonna go from ally or confederate to enemy, and then eventually you're gonna get dealt with too by the Most High on behalf of the Israelites, and that goes along to all the rest of the nations too. So with that, I'm gonna bring this video to a close. I wanna end with all praise and glory and fear to Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai, B'Hashem Arakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and peace and salutations to the hopeful elect striving for salvation during these electrifying times with faith. Shalom.